Local and fans of a high-quality playoff team, whomever that team may be. Welcome back. We're doing another series preview. This time it is Dallas. It is Edmonton. It is a rematch of a series a couple years ago in which Edmonton took care of the Dallas Stars. So I'm sure there's a little revenge factor here. I always find that interesting because I can never really peg if that is an advantage to either side, because it feels like there is enough turnover year to year between rosters that you're kind of like, it's a little bit different of a team. Obviously, guys remember each other though, and I don't know, just losing last time give you this weird chip on your shoulder edge, or does it give you more nerves? I guess it depends on the player. But let's talk about real quick how I do this. So again, I'm focusing on the last couple of rounds. We've done multiple preview videos for both of these teams across the first two rounds. So this is a little less like advanced analytically, but any advanced analytics I do use are from naturalstattrick.com. Home ice means next to nothing for me outside of extreme cases like the Canes. And then my predictions at the end are absolute ridiculousess. So we'll move on. Oh, and for what it's worth, I missed the skits too. I am just getting absolutely smacked around by work. And I barely have time to put these out. Yeah, it's fine. Everything's going to be fine. Capitalism. Let's talk about how we got here. Let's talk about the Oilers first. And I gotta start with the Oilers because I have to come clean about something. In the last video about the Oilers, going over the Knights and Oilers series, I predicted the Oilers in 6 over the Knights, and the Oilers 1 in 5. Clever lad, low qual, good job, whoop. No. Because what I thought I was doing was following along with my bracket predictions. That's how I did the first round, is I just chose whatever I chose on my bracket. But because I'm a bona fide idiot, I forgot what I put on my bracket. I actually had Vegas moving on in that series. So not only do I not get to take credit for my public prediction, but I also have to admit that at 31 years young, my memory is so bad that I can't even remember who I think will win a freaking hockey game. If you think you have a concussion, go to the doctor. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, let's talk about the Oilers for realsies, who got here in a fairly hilarious way. Round 1 starts with Stuart Skinner doing the world's best impression of a brick wall that's actually made out of Jell-O and also isn't in front of the net. It was bad. A quick 2-0 series deficit was concerning, but here comes Picard. Backup, baby! Who also wasn't good, but he was good enough to allow Edmonton to win the next 4 games. Picard deserves very little credit here, which sounds mean. Why would I be going for the guy? But he really wasn't good. He just wasn't. He just wasn't the absolute disaster that Skinner was, which huge credit to this Oilers team, who just needed, what was it, 884 save percentage Picard gave them over the next 4 games against the Kings, and it allowed them to win all 4. Like, that's kind of silly. That's a little silly. A big question coming out of that series was if the depth of the Oilers could continue to provide real value. At the end of free agency last summer, we thought that the Oilers, me, idiot, thought that the Oilers might have had the deepest offense in the league, or at least arguably so. I don't think I was going to go full, like, man, I don't even remember. I might have gone all in on them, but I definitely said that they had the possibility of breaking records offensively. Modern day records, but still an embarrassing take now that you look at what they did, because it did not play out that way, particularly late in the season where their offense was performing well below the standard of a cup contender. You can insert a rant about injuries here. I understand there were a lot of injuries, but still. Now, through 2 rounds, every single forward who has played more than 2 games has at least 3 points. 9 of them have 6 or more. McDavid and Draisaitl are doing the usual thing, well above a point per game, but if they get contributions down the lineup every single night like they have been, then the road to another final gets far simpler. Simpler, maybe going too far, because they actually may need it to continue. They really might need it to continue. We'll talk about that in the important factors along with this next bit, which the next bit is the goaltending has been interesting for the last 2 rounds for Edmonton. Second round comes, and Picard is continuing his bad but not so bad the Oilers have no chance play. And boom, lower body injury. That was it. He sustained it in game 2. We knew he wasn't starting Game 3. Skinner has to start Game 3. And we all went, uh-oh. That's it. That's the series. And in Game 3, he showed us why we thought that. He gets shellacked, letting in a stupid, sexy 4 goals on 24 shots. Series over. Should have done something about your goaltending, Edmonton, dumbasses. May I offer you a Jeremy Swayman in this trying time? Oh, well, we would have been right. But Skinner then went on to stop the next 47 shots he faced as Edmonton ripped off the last 2 wins to comfortably make the conference finals. Let's remember, Skinner wasn't excellent or even good last year, but he was enough to keep the Oilers in games to the point where they came 1 win from a cup. If he can match that, then the Oilers have a chance. A chance. We'll talk more about Skinner in a bit. I'm pretty sure he had like a 900 save percentage last year. Like, that's it. In my mind, I was like, oh, man, that's right. He went nuclear in the playoffs. I went back and looked. Like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. The Oilers have used a variety of ways to win games this year. The last 2 games were all about being responsible in front of a struggling netminder to get his confidence up. The few games before that was speed and shoot him if you got him, and hanging on for dear life as their penalty kill cratered. The Kings series was about depth and hanging on for dear life as their penalty kill cratered. Kind of seeing a pattern here. But seriously, this Oilers team has surprised many of us with their ability to win games in a variety of ways. The depth is cooking. The 5-on-5 numbers are excellent. They've outscored opponents 29-21 at 5-on-5 so far these playoffs. And at least to end the last series, goaltending really stepped up. They've won in a variety of ways. There are concerns, though. Obviously, the goaltending is one of them. But the penalty kill, although better in the last couple of games, has been awful over the last few weeks. 66.7% success rate during the playoffs. And that's with a couple of good games at the end of the Vegas series. Not going to cut it. The power play is okay, 25% exactly through 2 series, but they went 1 for 11 in the last series. 5-on-5 play and goaltending are the most important factors for a winning hockey team. But special teams can sink you if they fall to extreme levels. Something to keep an eye on. For the Stars, how did we get here with the Stars? Well, they got here through the hardest road, and they look ready for the next test. They really do. The first round series against the Avalanche had Avalanche. Did I say that right? Like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. If you've been here a while, you know I don't say that word right often. They had damn near everything you could ask for in that series, though. The drama, the talent, the classic do it for the injured guy narrative, and even a good old-fashioned revenge game that will be remembered in team lore for the rest of their existence. What's especially entertaining to my fellow analytics watchers is the lead up to the playoffs for the Stars was uncomfortable, right? The injuries were piling up, and not just for role players, Heiskanen and Robertson. A 7-game losing streak to finish the year, and the underlying numbers showed a team that was struggling with their identity and was playing like one of the worst teams to make the postseason. Once the postseason started, none of it changed. Well, most of it didn't change. The injured players weren't able to come back as quickly as they had hoped. The Avalanche were outplaying them at 5-on-5 and special teams. The underlying numbers of special teams, not the success rate. Let's make that very clear. Otter was, but it didn't really matter because Otter was excellent, right? He had a 9-11 through that series, something along those lines. Dallas was opportunistic at 5-on-5. Their power play went nuclear, scoring on over 30% of their opportunities, while their penalty kill more than handled business, allowing just 3 goals across 22 penalties. That was all in the first round. And guess what? Second verse, same as the first. Put us on the ice so we can put them in a hearse. They absolutely did the same damn thing. In 6 games, the Stars generated a higher amount of expected goals than their opponent only twice. Their opponent being the Jets, of course. Game 3 saw them at a 63% expected goals for, a 5-2 win. And Game 6, which on paper looked close, but the scoring chances told a very different story, as you can see here. In a 2-1 overtime win, the Stars had an expected goal total of 4.3. The Jets in that game, 1.7. Sure, the Jets outshot them 23-20, but they couldn't find inside ice. Dallas couldn't stop finding inside ice, but they couldn't get past Hellebuck for a large portion of that game, and eventually he got beat. They were hanging on. The Jets were hanging on for dear life in that game. Really, the Jets' defensive structure in the whole playoffs was weird. They had injuries, but just really points to how good Hellebuck was during the season, I think. In fact, the biggest concern coming out of this series, though, is the Stars' ability to finish. Because, like we just talked about, they're not creating a ton at 5-on-5 against other teams. Now, they're finishing on power play. The power play has been excellent. But even when they are creating, their goal total numbers aren't that impressive. Rantanen, Harley, and Hintz have combined for 40 points in 13 games, which is obviously excellent. Rantanen leads the playoffs right now. But most of that damage is coming on the power play. Those three have combined for 21 points at 5-on-5. Johnston has 8 points altogether, 4 at 5-on-5. Granlund, 7 points, 4 at 5-on-5. The numbers keep dwindling after that. But shout out Sam Steele, whose 6 points all came at 5-on-5. Good job by him. This isn't a concern while the power play stays red hot, right? It doesn't really matter that much. But Edmonton's depth is cruising right now. Dallas needs to have a bigger impact at the strength that the majority of the game is played at, especially looking at Duchesne, 0 points at even strength, and Robertson, 0 points at even strength. Robertson's only played 6 games and is coming off an injury. Let's remember that. That does bring us to our first important factor of the series, though. Depth on depth action. XXX. Little adult action for you there. Each team summary came with comments about their depth. Both teams feel really good about their ability to roll out 4 impact lines. But, as I just mentioned, if the Oilers are seeing more production from role players at even strength, it's going to be an issue for Dallas. I don't think this Dallas team can make the finals if Duchesne and Robertson don't come alive. Those 2 players have been huge for them in the biggest moments through the season. It's weird to see them so quiet, and they are going to need them to wake back up. But right now, the depth looks like it's leaning Edmonton's way. On paper, it should be the Stars' battle there. Like, the Stars should have the advantage there. But so far through the playoffs, Edmonton's got their depth cruising at a level that Dallas doesn't. Another important factor here, obviously, is the special teams. I feel like actually our important factors, now that I look at them, are just all of the game. All of the game is the important factor. No, special teams. Dallas has the 3rd best power play, 3rd best penalty kill in the playoffs. 30.8% and 86% respectively. Edmonton has the 6th ranked power play and the 14th ranked penalty kill. 25% and 66.7% respectively. Clear advantage to Dallas. We just talked about the importance of 5-on-5 and role players impacting the game during those minutes. But I would be a fool to not point out that a good power play can disguise a lot at even strength. The Oilers want to keep this 5-on-5 as much as possible given the last few weeks. Dallas would benefit from finding another gear to match their opponent's strength. But a lot more pressure now falls on that special teams because that's kind of how you got here. And if you don't have a lot of faith on your even strength play, you better be real confident that your power play can stay in the 30% range. Tall ask. Maybe not against this Edmonton team, though, whose biggest issue is our other important factor, which is goaltending. Because how could it not be? Obviously, Skinner is coming off of 2 excellent shutouts that directly followed some of the worst professional hockey of his career. Ottinger has been stellar with a .919 save percentage through 13 games. Pencil him in for a .910 or better in this series. Skinner has to find a way to stay above .900. He has to. That way, Edmonton at least has a chance. Because I don't think Edmonton's going to outshoot the Stars by 80, 100 shots this series. There's going to be a lot of momentum changes. And Skinner has to be able to survive some of those. He really does. It'll be interesting. It'll be the most interesting topic early in this series is what Skinner looks like. There's nothing that's going to trump that. It's the most important factor. And then our last factor, this is why I say it just covered everything, because we talked about offensive depth. Defensive depth is the other thing. So we covered offensive depth, special teams, goaltending, and defensive depth. It's just all the team. The whole team is the important factors. But, and I know this is kind of cheating, but Ekholm's nearing a return. He should be back in the next couple of games. Maybe as soon as game 3, which is absurd given what his original time frame was. But that would be a huge boost. Huge boost for a back end that is currently trying to shelter Emberson or Stetcher, depending on who gets in the lineup between those two. They've been serviceable, but I would still consider that a point of attack for Dallas. On the other end, Dallas is getting healthy, but I refuse to get excited about a defense that is consistently relying on Cody Ceci and Ilya Lyubushkin. Again, they've been serviceable, particularly Ceci, but staying in front of McDavid and Draisaitl is a whole different story. I don't want to hear it about the advantages that Dallas has defensively. They do have some, but there are absolutely areas of attack for Edmonton as well. Whichever side gets the better play from their defensemen, their farther down the depth defensemen, probably comes out of this series with a win. I genuinely think that this is about who can make a play at the right time, and it's going to be against a fourth, fifth, sixth defenseman who has to make the play. So my prediction, I'm vibing with Dallas, and it's going to be hilarious. Why? Because it's the defense. Harley's emergence as a true top pairing defenseman is what I needed to tilt me towards the team that should have the depth and goaltending to compete here. And I just think they'll make more plays at the end of the day. I don't feel good about betting against McDavid, but here we are. Dallas in a very, very nervous, scary Game 7. I really worry about Lyubushkin in this series. I really do. But Harley and Heiskanen, just awesome. Just so great. So I'm going with Dallas. Yeah, don't put too much on that, honestly. This is a crazy series. And these two teams have had such different roads to get here. Easily, in my opinion, the West has had to fight their way to the conference finals, where the East has been a little more determined in my book. I think Carolina certainly had a much easier path than Dallas or Edmonton so far. But yeah, I don't know what we're about to see, but we're going to see more talent on the ice than we are used to. This is going to be nuts, the kind of skill we get to see in this series. I hope those games aren't on super late, because I'm really excited about that one. Carolina, Florida should be fun. This should be electric, man. Really cool. Go Stars, go. And of course, here at the end of the video, I love to give some shout outs to the fantastic high quality inspectors who help support the channel and keep this running. I super appreciate every single one of you, from the role player tier, the top line tier, and of course the all-star tier. We are going to do our shout outs for this top line tier. Thank you so much to Sean Kreider, Michael Kamara, Chris and Erica, Kevin Timperley, Quack and Platypus, JM, Smoke Channels, Shaggy, Adam Ella, Albert Waldron, Negev79, Lola Cattingsworth, EKM Productions, Moonlighter TV, Big Bad Bruin, The Bugman, Jeff with a G, Tommy Braga, Roland22, GD Viperworks, Len Kreutz, Brock Nope, Han Slobo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Brett Arney, Pincent, and Nick Zatrullo. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Your top line material. But now we got to move on to our all-star tier members, the absolute legends. We have Jacob Pratt, Jake Brower, Dampen, JG's 12, Mark S., Ann Hustis, Tim R., Lorenzo Wood, Penny Pasta, Levi Catalani, Boston Stringler, Bagel, Nightmare Eco, John Kirk, Joel, Stealthy Potato, Heil E. Coyote, Darren Woodbury, Abraxion, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adrian Winter, Tupton D. Tashi, Bruin Smash, D.A. Kingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Dutes42, and Jeremy. Thank you all for all of the support and love that you are all giving. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, go Bees!